I didn't have the green light. I'd like to call the meeting to order. The very first thing on our agenda tonight is a consideration of changing the regular meeting for February from the 9th to the 15th, and that's because 4 of us have to be in a mandatory meeting in Sunset Beach for 2 days. I'd entertain a motion to make that change.
Second.
Second by Charlie. All in favor? Raise of hands. Pass. Gosh, before we get into the special meeting, and thank you all for coming, welcome. I don't think I've ever seen this many at a meeting, and I'm thrilled personally to see everyone everyone here and becoming engaged in this particular issue. Before we start, or before I get I don't think I have to have a motion, but before I start, I'd like to run over the format with you just a little bit, and I think some of you have those. We're missing a few, and we're having some more made, so if you don't have the questions and answers or the format for this evening's meeting, raise your hand and we'll get one to you, or they'll be up there on the table. Okay, Debbie, that's the ones that need the packages. Are they on the table? Okay, they're up on the table, so if you want to go do that. I forgot. I'm going to back up before I get started. Thank you. Wow.
Holy smokes.
Wow. Stay on schedule. While they're picking up their papers, I'm going to briefly go over the format, and then I'm going to go back and ask for the prayer and the pledge of allegiance. But since we have some dead time here, let me just run quickly through it. This is a different kind of format. I'm not even sure it's ever been done this way before, but we wanted it to be informative and enlightening for everyone, including the council. So therefore, we're doing a question and answer period following a presentation by our town manager. And if you look, there's I kind of got a timeline here. We're going to try to stick to it if possible, just to keep everything orderly and make things run smoothly. After Tim's presentation, the floor will be open for the public to ask questions. We have a staff member that will bring you the microphone, so if you'll simply raise your hand, she will come to you. I'm asking you for the first round, until we get through a series of questions, to please just ask one question. We will have 2 more meetings for public comments at a future date, but this meeting is questions only. If the question that you propose or ask cannot be answered tonight, it's written down and given to our town manager, and it will go on the frequently asked questions list, which is available on our website. Let me think what I'm missing. I think that's basically it, and we'll try to follow this format. And again, thank you guys for coming. It really is very helpful to have your engagement and your input on this very important issue. All right, Councilor Medlin, would you offer invocation, please?
Could you stand with me, please? Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day we've had today. Lord, we thank you for this group that's gathered tonight to try to get information so we can all understand the business of the town, the things that we are approaching to do. We pray for wisdom for all of us. We pray that we would make good decisions and that we would focus everything we do on what's best for the people of Oak Island. Thank you again for the blessings in our life. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance, I'm sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to welcome our county officials, Chairman of the County Commissioners, Scott Phillips, Commissioner Pat Seitz, and Brunswick County Manager Ann Hardy. Tim, at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll begin this evening with a PowerPoint presentation And then after we have the presentation, we'll be taking questions from the audience. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, and ladies and gentlemen, we prepared this. The county's reviewed it as well. We have about 12 points, and even though it sounds like a long, we'll be very brief in presentation of these 12 points tonight on the proposed transfer of utilities from the town to Brunswick County. Just a little bit, if we look at the history of what has gotten us to this point, the water and sewer system is a combined system with Yopon and Long Beach, the merger in 1999. The sewer system began partial operation in 2009 and came in on in incremental steps after that for the air vacuum system. Significant cost is associated to complete and the associated debt with that project. Rate and bond obligations have compelled increases in rates. Water and sewer rates have increased to cover the debt significantly in 2013 through 2015. Somewhere over 30% increase in rates. The first conversation with the county to assume the utilities occurred between 2012 and 2013, and at that time it did not proceed further. There was a second request for the county to look at absorbing town utilities this September 2015. So that is why we're here tonight. The county has prepared a proposal to begin talks, and we're here to try to answer questions. There's been a lot of questions since this came out after the memorandum of understanding was approved by the county commissioners. So that's a little look at the history. Timeline. Some of these questions also have been mentioned on our website. Why do we need to move this fast? The information gathering and decision-making process will occur over several months, and hopefully you've heard that by now. If not, it will take several months. If the government bond market should change, it could affect the county's ability to be able to acquire the town system. Interest rates are rising, and the time period to refinance or refund with a positive outcome may be a short one. This is the culmination of 2 to 3 years of discussion between town, county, at different levels. What also you see here is the 3 significant steps. February 15th, possible consideration of memorandum of understanding by our town council. March 8th, possible consideration of legislation allowing county to collect existing sewer assessments. I know there's a lot of questions on that. We'll answer those as we go through. June and July, possible consideration of final contract outlining all the details between utilities and the sale of bonds. And then October to November, possible county operation of former OKI utilities. Once the bonds are sold, it will be a county system if that occurs. One reason we're looking at October, November, the county as well as us want to get through the summertime before we have that transition. We didn't want to have it in mid-season. So that's a look at the timeline, proposed timeline. Responsibilities and fire protection. A lot of people question who's going to be responsible for what if this occurs. Who will pay for future water and sewer repairs? Brunswick County will handle future repair expenses, and if you're a current Oak Island customer, you will become a Brunswick County customer. What about fire hydrants and water used by the fire department? OKI's fire department will test hydrants for flows. Our public works and fire department will provide routine maintenance. The county does provide supplies, and the county would replace hydrants or perform major work in relation to these fire hydrants. There should be no reason for fire protection ratings to suffer or decrease because of this transition in utilities. What uses are permitted in right-of-way utility easements? Nothing will change. What's permitted now will remain permitted. The county will work with the town on town streets. We may have a blanket encroachment for taps of that nature, or will have to be some kind of process on that. And the county, of course, will have to work with DOT, as each entity does now, on maintaining encroachments on state streets. Who will be responsible for repairing streets? If the damage is related or a street cut for water and sewer, that will be the county. Other damage to the street, such as potholes, storm drainage, road-based issues, as well as typical resurfacing, they will still remain in the purview of the town for the town to be responsible. Taxes. This question's come up surprisingly more than I thought it would. Does an enterprise fund or enterprise system run on property taxes? No. Enterprise funds are supported by service, connection fees, and those type of activities. Taxes will not increase at all because of this transition. This is totally a rate-driven structure and action on the utility side. Some towns and counties have positions that are partially funded from water, sewer, and general fund, but we do not have that, so we don't have to worry about losing funding for that when we transition. So taxes are out of the equation for this transaction if it occurs. Assets. What exactly will be transferred to the county by the town? Water lines, sewer lines, stations, air vac, gravity station, lift stations, wells, water towers. Any property purchased with utility funds will become the property of the county. There are some notable exceptions, property behind town hall, and to try to keep the town complex intact at this point to still be included in the final contract. All vehicles, trucks, backhoes, vacuum trucks purchased with utility or enterprise funds, those things are assets that will be transferred. Bill Smith Park, we're proposing right now, will still have to be ironed out, but that part was purchased with wastewater funds, so that would typically go to the county, and perhaps they would lease it back to us for $1 to operate the recreation activities out there. So basically, for the average person, you shouldn't notice a change in what goes on as what's happening at that location. We actually currently are going to be talking about putting a kayak launch out there through a PARTIF grant, so that should happen before the transition, if the transition occurs. Greenhouses, storage, underwater towers, those issues, we'll probably have to move some of those things. The radio for repeater systems, we'll have an agreement with the county. Our radio repeaters will stay on the towers to provide emergency service communications. So that should not change. Now, also, we've been asked questions about, on our books, after depreciation, the water utility, the cost and what remains is valued at around $3.4 million according to the audit, not according to appraised value. And utility assets in the wastewater fund are about $106 million. So those are the asset portions of what will go to the county, as well as the $98 million of principal and $52 million of interest that we currently have would be assumed by the county, and we'll talk about when they refinance or refund their bonds. Capacity, this is concerned people as well. The West Brunswick treatment plant capacity, the town sewer capacity will of course be rolled into the county's existing treatment capacity. The county would construct additional treatment capacity if needed based on growth, but the town would not have to come up with other funds or other methods to actually pay for this capacity. That would be a utility function solely at that point. Cost to pursue the transfer is estimated to cost approximately $300,000 for the due diligence. The town is not obligated to pay if the third-party engineer or the financial feasibility study determines the impact on the county is not prudent and the process ends. If both of those are positive, however, and the town elects not to transfer at a certain point, the county probably would at that time expect some contribution towards the cost of the investigation. But if any professional recommends against it, that's not going to trigger anything on the town's behalf. Debt, what debt will be transferred from the town to the county? As I mentioned earlier, all water and sewer debt will be transferred and assumed by the county. Utility, Oak Island customers will become county customers, and they will continue to pay toward the debt that way. So the debt shifts. It's not a town debt, but it's a system debt, and the customers will still bear that debt in some manner. Sewer district fees will continue until the debt is paid, or the operational district fee if the county changes the name at some point. The long-term impact on the town, the debt ratio and credit rating will improve if the debt is assumed by the county. The county has a better credit rating with the town, and so that could actually influence rates downward as well. And the town's annual budget decreases by about $10 million annually. Assessments, will the residents and property owners of Oak Island have any additional assessments? No new assessments. So there's not, this is not authority to pile on additional assessments. However, the ones already pending do have to be paid, and the county will assume collections for those still outstanding. The county will also be able to take action on assessments with no payments made. So if a customer is not made, they'll still be able to pursue that. The town and county will be requesting special legislation as phase 2 or part 2 of this process, allowing the county to place liens on properties for which owners have failed to pay the assessment or district fees that are owed. Rates, and I'm sure everybody is very concerned about rates. This is what we've had a lot of talk about. A lot of people have worked out their own rate calculations, and after this slide, we'll get into the actual numbers. In general, those who use a higher quantity of water will see lower rates. Sewer district fees will decrease. Initially, the county's rate will be 6% higher than the projected 2016-17 rate that we'll establish during our upcoming budget process. Vacant lot owners will see some decrease in their sewer district fees. Will your bill go up or increase if there are maintenance issues with the system? The county feels that currently the fee schedule they have proposed will provide all the resources necessary to operate and maintain the system, provided, of course, no unforeseen maintenance issues, no hurricanes, no major catastrophes, et cetera. This is an improvement over town rates, which will see increases by 30% in the first 10 years and a total of 60% over 20 years as our rate consultant and bond requirements have compelled. This doesn't take into account, too, even the reduced revenues the town will see in 4 years when the assessment payments end as part of our budgeting process and fiscal process. Sewer district fees, timing of sewer district fee for 2016, who will levy that? The town will do that because the town had control of the system as of January 1st, the tax billing. The monthly SDF would be collected by the county when the billing is transferred because we are collecting it through the bill cycle as well. Will the sewer district fee appear on the county tax bill? It will in 2017, and it will continue to be billed monthly for developed properties as is now, but by the county. The SDF is going to be the same regardless of location, Yopon, commercial corridors, et cetera. Any of the locations you've seen referred to as far as the airvac system, those zones, it's going to be the same. There's not going to be any kind of different fees. All right. Now, this is what you have copies of over on the table, and we'll also have this up on our website later this week. I'm showing the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2019. As I mentioned earlier, the town will have a 3% rate increase every year from now for the next 20 years with the way the debt is structured. The county is elected, and after running the figures, that when they assume operation of the system, they'll have an increase. Well, these are the figures you're looking at as far as everybody's concerned about what their rate will be. And later on, we'll show you the rate with our stormwater and solid waste. But right here, anything up to 1,000 gallons, you actually see a $3.95 decrease. The two problems there is the two concerns that I think most people will have. The 2,000 gallon user will see an increase of $2.15. The 4,000 will see a $4.31 increase. And then you see from 5,000 on down varying savings as far as volume. This is using the county's current rate structure. This is not a new rate structure, and that's being incorporated in that. Just for comparison, if you looked at our 2020 rates for the town, you'll see the savings in. Every category experiences a savings except for the 4,000 gallon user, which is paying like a 42-cent premium above. So that kind of gives you a little bit idea about the rates. And like I said, I know a lot of you seen that for the first time, so you will need time to digest that. So those are the rates as of proposed for right now. 2020 is just up there for so you can see the comparison. Also, what we've done, when the county assumes control, we'll still have to bill the town. That is, we'll still have to bill the stormwater and solid waste fee. So that will probably go to a quarterly billing in 2017 if this happens, and we'll bill ahead. So for January, February, March, we will bill in December. March, we'll bill for April, May, and June. But just to let you know that, oops, let me go back. That just shows what the bill is with the water and sewer fee. But like I said, you have a bill from the county utility, and then we'll be billing, if you're on the beach side, $14.12 for solid waste, $1.75 for stormwater. And this solid waste, it includes the recycling, convenience center, cost for yard debris, and for the beach side, the extra pickup during the season. And then you just see the non-beach side is the $8.71 rate. So same rates, it just shows the picture with the, so I'm sure you can probably look at where you fall in this category, 0 to 12,000 gallons. We didn't take it over that. Our finance director If we need to, we can figure something individually for you. But like I said, this will be available later in the week on the website and before the final, but not before the next vote by the council in the process. All right, some pros and cons, and I'm sure many of you may have some additionals to this list. Pros, the town is relieved of major debt. The town relinquishes utility assets, no further maintenance obligations for the water lines, sewer lines, et cetera. Financial conditions are positive, and it's a good climate to refinance or refund bonds, and the county has a better credit rating and will even be able to get better rates when they refund the bonds. Larger customer base means economies of scale. Cons, the town relinquishes all utility assets. There's a pro and a con. The county doubles its utility debt load. OKI utility customers still pay debt, but the county and utility payments will not be received at town hall. Now, there's been some talk about doing that, but it may be a little bit problematic because if you were at town hall, you couldn't get adjustments or anything like that from the county, and if you pay here, are you going to miss the deadline? So, like I said, that's just a short list of pros and cons for this potential transfer. All right, now we're to the public questions and answer sessions. The county manager and her staff are here as well. Myself and the county manager will be fielding questions from what we can. I'll turn it back over to the mayor, and she can recognize, and Miss Debbie Lasik will actually be taking the microphone to you. So,
Let me ask, Madam Clerk, do we need names and addresses on this type of?
It would be
format?
helpful, yes, ma'am.
Okay, if you would please just say your name and address before you ask your question. And again, one question per person. We're going to try to get in as many as we can. If we have extra time, we'll come back and start doing another round again. So this time, I open the floor for questions. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I can't hear anything.
Thank you. Evelyn Brown, 225 Northeast 51st Street. I have a vacant lot I've owned for 2 years, required to pay the tap at that time. What I would like to know is, does the county require other owners of vacant lots in other parts of the county to pay, like Oak Island requires owners of vacant lands to pay a rather substantial assessment for the non-use of water and sewer? Is it the same?
Tim, yeah, you direct the question because I'm not sure which one would answer that.
I have something else to
If
say.
the county, under an agreement with the municipality, or...
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said if the county, under an agreement with the municipality, or the county, the property owners request a special assessment district and that goes into being, then yes, the county does require those property owners to pay the assessment.
But
However-
do you have any who do not in the whole county?
If,
I mean,
but-
yes or no? Do you have any in the whole county that do not pay like we pay here on Oak Island?
I'm trying to answer your question, if you give me
Okay.
just a moment. Property owners who have a line running by their home that are not part of a special assessment, like you were part of a special assessment district.
Yes.
Okay. We have instances where we have lines running by properties, and we do not charge those folks a sewer fee, or an availability fee, or a water fee, or a water availability fee.
We were
But however,
required,
they would be
to do that,
required
to transfer title.
They would be required to pay the assessment. It's two different things. One is the service fee, and the other is the assessment. They are required to pay the assessment.
The service fee for non-use of services is an assessment. You're not paying, because you're paying for nothing. And what I'm saying is, in the rest of the county, are there people who have, like, paid an assessment like we did to tap in, who do not have to pay for a non-existent service?
Ms. Brown?
Is there anyone?
I think Ann has answered that question. I know your opinion is, but sewer assessments, if that was, when the subdivision was built, et cetera, there are assessments involved, the county collects those. So it is not unique, it is not the same for every property. Right. Now, one thing too the county can do, just because you have a line running past your property, the county has the authority, if they needed to charge minimum fees, but they didn't have to at the time because of the management of the system, and they've been able to avoid that.
So you're saying, yes, there are people in the county who do not pay that kind of fee?
Yes, there's.
That was a simple question, simple answer. But cut to the chase. Now, that being said, I'm going to be a full-time resident later in the year, not on that lot, and I'm all in favor of the county's proposal, by the way.
Okay, Thank you, thank you. And I'll remind everyone again, just one question, let's kind of move it fast. And do you think we need some more clarification? We can always answer in a longer form and put it on the, are you good? Okay, very good. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Ann. Next. I'm sorry.
I'll keep it short then. The combination of the county and the town sewer system,
I'm sorry, could we get your name and address?
Malcolm
although we know-
Morrison, 119 Southwest 21st Street. Now, as we do this combination, if it goes forward, I understand there will be some employees that are going to be, in a sense, outsourced. There'll be some job losses. And what I'm asking then, if we're going to have people that are going to have to lose their jobs in the town, that some may choose to go into early retirement. And if that's the choice that they're looking at, will the town and or the county support providing them with a certified financial planner to help them assess their situation? And this financial planner will be one that has a fiduciary responsibility. That means he has to take the interest of the person above his personal interest at heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm. Just to answer that a little bit, we have spoken with the employees that will be affected by this, and yes, there will be between 3 and 5 positions that at the end of this transfer will be displaced. We've discussed severance package for those who stick with the town until the transfer. Most of the operational employees of the county will actually take on to operate the system. So some of it should be seamless. There has been no discussion of what you mentioned about financial planner. There also have been discussions as those employees that may be displaced, the county would help place them in other county positions, clerical work, except whatever they're qualified for of that nature. The county is also, without getting too much into personnel, but personnel is the utmost concern of the town council and the county, and to this point, they've worked really well with us on trying to make sure that our benefits are not decreased, and if anything, their benefits are increased. So that's the answer that you didn't ask, but that's what we're doing, and we have not done the financial planner aspect of that at this time.
Jack Moore, 113 Southwest Yacht Drive. I believe there are still some current or ongoing litigation matters involving the sewer system for the town of Oak Island. What happens to those?
Thank you. The town attorney is not here, but we actually only have 2 named suits at that time. One that actually was filed and dropped and refiled, and then another one's come since then. At this point, we don't know what the status of as far as where they'll go from here, but I'm sure the county attorney and the town attorney will work together to address those issues. But there's no outstanding large liabilities for either case at this time.
Richard Bunce, 125 Northeast 26th Street. It appears the current county retail rates include debt service for the portion of the system they use. If so, then the $2.9 million payment the town makes to the county this year for the debt of the portion of the system the town uses, presumably that would go away. And if so, then the $64 a month sewer treatment fee applied to all customers and all undeveloped parcels appears to be a very conservative estimate for the remaining debt to be paid, especially after refinance of the existing debt. Is that roughly accurate? In the past, I know the county has used very conservative finance numbers. Is that kind of what's going on here?
We do, excuse me, we do use conservative projections. At this point, we are in the very early discussion phases. And so if we can refinance the debt and have some savings, then we would be able to come back to the town and to offer a better rate. But at this point in time, it appears that that $64 a month is what would be needed to be able to service the debt for the collection system and the sewer that is on the island. So that is in addition to the plant. The county still has almost $100 million of debt on the plant that would have to be serviced. So it's our desire that we could come back and maybe be able to do a little better than we've done initially, but without going through all the steps that we've got to go through to be able to go through our due diligence process, we felt that those were numbers that we felt like we could achieve.
But a retail customer does pay part of that fee, is debt on the system.
Well, most of our retail customers do not have collection system debt. Oak Island's bringing forward over $95 million. The other customers are helping to pay for the plant, which the Oak Island customers would still have to help pay for the plant in their service fees. So the $64 was designed, the thought of the $64 was to pay for the current debt on the island. And right, and then we felt that with our sewer rate, our current water and sewer rates, that we would be able to maintain and service the system and pay for the plant as well as any capital expansions over time, dependent upon an engineering evaluation that we would perform.
Thank you very much.
Debbie, I thought there was a question over there earlier.
I actually have 4 questions, but I'll send those to you in an email.
Okay, thank you, Betty.
Okay, here's my overriding question. The rates the Brunswick County rates that were given to us tonight, what is the likelihood that those rates will increase in the foreseeable future? And as it pertains to Oak Island, what scenarios might generate any kind of a rate increase in the foreseeable future?
When Oak Island, if Oak Island becomes a county customer, they'll be on the county rates that are charged countywide for retail customers. We've had one rate increase since the late 90s. We've had a rate decrease, so the commissioners have been very conservative in moving forward to expand the system if it would adversely impact customers. So they've been very, very conservative with increasing rates. They raised rates $1 per month about 2 years ago. Other than that, there had been no rate increases. So I would say that your elected commissioners are going to be extremely conservative going forward with rates. However, when you're operating a system, you have to ensure that you're going to have water and sewer to meet the needs of a growing population. With the growth, that gives you more opportunity to be able to spread that rate out among more, but you do have to make investments in your system from time to time, and those investments do require some increases occasionally. But historically, as I said, the commissioners have not increased rates, and one rate that's not a retail rate, it's a wholesale rate that we pass along to Oak Island. When the economy was suffering so much in 2008 and years after that, the county could have, under our contracts, increased our rate 3 years, but we knew that that would be hard on our customers, and we forego those rate increases for 3 straight years and did not pass those along. And then when the economy changed, the contract stayed the same, and we still did not increase the rates. However, we did pass along the decreases that customers were eligible for during that time.
Thank you. I'm Tony Brooks. My address is 2345 West Beach Drive, Oak Island, North Carolina. The question I have is somewhat convoluted. It doesn't take any great effort to see that there's an effort to cut down every tree and build some kind of a building on that property. In short, we've got a heck of a lot more people, or at least houses, to pay the bills than we did when all of this mess was created in the first place. It looks like to me that that means there should be more income. So has anybody projected when these surcharges, everything in the world will eventually end? It's got to be amortizable in some kind of a fashion. There are more people paying into it. And also, within that, how does the development of such things as the shopping center areas pay, and how quick does that pay? Sometimes we forget that we, the people, are Oak Island. We, the people, are also the county, so it's sort of one pocket to the other, but we still would like to get sometime the sewer costs off our back. Thank you.
Comments there, but I guess some questions as far as, in addition to growth, of course, with the growth, there's taps you have to put in, and there's fees with that associated as well. The town has had over 150 homes for the last 3 years as far as growth. So eventually, yes, that will affect the rates as far as what is coming in operationally. We've not seen a long period of that happen, so I mean, you see more over time. Now, I don't steal any of Ann's thunder, but I know in their rates, they're looking at conservative growth for about 50 homes a year. So there is increased cost when you have increased growth, but over time, you will see that affect rates. But I don't know, Ann, do you want to add anything else?
As I told the previous person asking the question about rates, it's our goal to operate our system as efficiently and as effectively and as inexpensive as possible. If we do acquire the system and we're able to see that it does not cost as much as we have projected to operate the system, we would certainly recommend to the commissioners that some consideration be provided. As Tim said, and as previous commenter said, we project conservative. We want to ensure we have a sound, financially run system. We have a lot of bondholders that are counting on us to be able to make debt payments. We've entered into agreements with them, and we have pledged that we will make those debt payments. So when we project growth, we're projecting 50 new connections a year. If we can exceed 150 and see that on a consistent basis, you better believe that we would recommend to the commissioners, and the commissioners would want to do what they could to assist Oak Island with that $64 a month. But at this point, all we can do is take the information that we have and start the process to study it and see what it's going to cost us to operate and run the system. We believe that with 38,000 customers that we can do that and potentially help Oak Island, or we wouldn't have brought this proposal forward.
Robert Heinsberg, 138 Northeast 19th Street. A significant number of folks on Oak Island are paying down that assessment, the $4,220 assessment. If the county takes over the sewer system, will the county honor the same agreement?
The county, I believe what you're asking me is if the original assessment you paid would be your final assessment.
Well, the town gave us an option of paying down the assessment or rather than paying the one lump sum. And a lot of people are doing that, right? Would the county still honor that payout agreement?
The recommendation, and like I said, we would be going through a discussion and negotiation period, but the initial plan of the county is to honor any commitments that Oak Island has made to you. So if your assessment was $4,400 and you paid over time, that would be honored. The county would just be stepping into Oak Island's shoes.
I think if you have like 4 years of payment left, that's all you have left. And
Right.
they wouldn't require payment up front to complete it.
And we legally could not assess you any more than they've already assessed you.
That'd be about it. Oh, well.
Tim, that mic is not working. We can't understand what the people are saying
Let's
too
see,
well.
Okay.
let's see how it works with this.
Ray Kane, 21 Augusta Drive. I'm kind of looking at this like if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You know, why? Why would the county take on that kind of debt? And why is the town, I mean, I can understand the town kind of giving up the debt, but my concern is giving up all of that property because you can't get any more property within the town limits. So we're giving up all that property for good. And so to me, that's kind of the advantage to the county, but I don't know, is that what it is?
Well, the reason the county would do it is we are in the water and sewer business. We are a provider of water and sewer. We have the capability to do it. We have the staff to do it. We think that we can do a good job. We want to do a good job, and everybody in Oak Island is a citizen of Brunswick County. We believe that it'll help Oak Island's customers, and we believe that it'll also help the rest of the county's customers by having a larger consolidated system. You don't have to have 2 billing offices. You don't have to have multiple redundant staffs. So we believe that there's some economy of scale that we can achieve over time. And we believe that it will be good in the long run for both sets of customers. It's a lot of debt to take on. The county has a lot of projects. So it does give us pause to take that commitment on, but we have looked at it, and we believe that we can make it work and hopefully make it a little cheaper at some point in time for the citizens of Oak Island.
And Ann, if I can follow up with that too, when you talk about property, most of this property has water tanks on it, lift stations, vacuum stations. So it's not like it's property we can sell and reap benefits from. It's tied up with the system. So it is already obligated to operate the system either way.
My name is John Collins. I live at 7 Pebble Beach Drive. I guess one of my questions is, it goes back to rates again. I'm not quite sure how this can be explained to me, but at present, the more water you use, the higher your sewer rate is. And I thought that was because it was to pay off the debt for the sewer system, and that's the only assumption I can make. But it says here that the more water you use, the less your sewer rate will go down. We're in the tourist business in this city, and I think that there's a lot of people that rent their houses out who will be using a lot less than 2,000 gallons per month. So was I correct in the rate, in the question, in the fact that the sewer rate is higher to pay off the debt?
I would say generally, yes. Currently, with the town, some of the water revenues are going to pay off the debt, the sewer district fees, the sewer fees. So yes, there's some for operational and some for debt service as well. So your question now, if you want to ask about the county's decreasing rate structure, maybe that's something. And
Well, it just doesn't logically see where the county would be charging less for sewer when the the town is charging higher for sewer, the more water you use. So.
Well, if you notice when the calculations are done on the board up there, they're starting out with 2019 rates. So that's technically that's a 9% increase from what we have now. So they've looked at that, reduced the sewer district fee. So and those operational fees are covering the difference that you're talking about in order to have equality with county rates. Somebody mentioned earlier, the water and sewer rates the county is providing if we transfer are the same rates for everyone in the county. So that's how they had to adjust the rate to be able to. We just have a district fee, which is different, but other than that, all the rates are the same countywide.
True.
Sort of answered it, thanks.
Still not clear, I guess. This gentleman back here first.
Thank you. Steve Apple, 1612 East Beach Drive. I'm also a realtor. But we have an issue on the island where we have combined lots, where we may have one parcel ID number, but we may have more than one lot associated with that parcel ID number. When the sewer was put in, they were allowed to be combined if they weren't already combined to get one sewer tap across those many parcels. Does the county know what it will cost to provide additional taps to lots that now do not have sewer? I know, and they don't have water meters either, but to put a water meter on a parcel and to put a sewer tap on a parcel that now does not have one.
It would be our rate structure that's on our website.
Basically, you'll be paying county water tap fees and sewer tap fees. Now, your question is also kind of two-part there because some of those lots were combined to avoid a sewer assessment. So if those lots are separated or subdivided, the county will still take the sewer assessment just like we do now. So at some point, you can't get out of paying those sewer assessments. So I heard two different questions there.
Well, one of the issues we've got on the island is that we may have two lots, let's say there's two lots that were combined. But we may have two lots that are side by side that were combined, but only one tap was put on to cover those two individual parcel numbers. Now, the owner may want to sell off one of the parcels. Sometimes it's hard to determine which parcel is actually going to get the tap. physically get the tap? Is it going to be first come, first serve, or is it going to be assigned to a particular parcel? And then the other parcel then would be responsible for paying for a fee. We need to know that in order to sell property and the buyer know what its costs are.
Well, that has come up on a case-by-case basis usually, and if you have a parent parcel, is the way I understand from, and that parent parcel is where the tap is located. So if for some reason you own two lots, and you have a house on one, and the vacant lot had the parent parcel, then that means before you go to close, you're going to have to agree to pay the tap fee. So we've already had that come up, so it's going to work the same, it'll just be with the county, so that's roughly what happened, so.
Yeah, but sometimes
And it
we
will be
can't-
county tap fees. It will
But
be
sometimes we
county.
can't determine physically, even if the lot retains the original parcel ID number, does it actually retain the actual physical tap?
That's what I'm saying, we have to work it out case-by-case basis, it depends on, usually we catch it when the property is sold. So I don't really have a better answer than that, but it's when the property transition is when it's caught. Maybe caught's about, when it shows up.
Thank you, Steve.
Let me get this gentleman first. I'm sorry, you were next.
John Whitmer, 105 Southeast 57th Street. Those water tanks has got cell phone tires on top of them. Who will get the rent from those cell phone use? I know that's pretty healthy
It's
income.
about $230,000 a year, and it's a good question, and that goes to system operations now, and that will go to system operations for the county. So the county will get that revenue. It doesn't go into our general fund, it's to operate the water system. So the water sewer system counts on that, or water system counts on that now. So it'd be the same thing with the county. That's what helps keep the rates
That
lower.
helps keep the rates lower.
You read my mind, okay.
Carol Painter, 306 Ocean Drive. I guess my question is for the people who are served by the Fish Factory Road plant, the former Yopon Beach people. When I was on the council and we initially had to institute this huge sewer district fee, and it was to be applied to all of the Oak Island proper customers. There was a statement made that because we had a billing system that could not handle two rates, that sewer district fee would be applied to all customers that were being billed by Oak Island. And it seems to me that, I guess the question is, how is it justifiable that those Yopon customers must continue to pay a sewer district fee for a system that does not serve them? And I'll give the example of Caswell Beach, served from our Fish Factory Road plant, and they are not. I mean, of course, it's a different town, and I've heard the subsequent to that, an additional reason that we couldn't stop charging the Yopon Beach customers these fees was because our financial situation was such that you really couldn't put more pressure on the other rates. But this seems like this would be an ideal time to make that separation. And I'm wondering, actually there is some case law that says that similarly, customers who are not similarly situated would be justified for being charged different rates.
Okay, Carol, I'm very familiar with what you're talking about, and I think the rationale was, and the council's discussed it at several of their past retreats, some of the newer council members may be aware of as well. Their Yopon customers at one time wanted to be considered separately and distinct from Long Beach customers, or the area, because when the new system was put in, there was an opinion that the new system should be borne by one area and not another. So at this point, no, I don't think that is going to change. The county has based their figures on all the utility customers paying the same, all Oak Island customers being treated the same. So the issue that you've asked about has not been addressed and will probably not be changed by the county. But that's something, they heard it tonight, but that's the issue. And you've heard me say it before, it's all one utility system. This is when, the county, if the county absorbs Oak Island, will be all one utility system. So there's no more water needed in Brunswick County. You might have $1 more a month on your utility bill. That's the same situation between Yopon and Long Beach. So I know that's not kind of what you wanted to hear, but, I don't know if Ann wants to add anything else to it.
At this point, we would need to look into it and consider it. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
I'm Ted Manis, 3022 West Beach Drive. Tim, I'm interested in knowing, is the property that is being ceded to the county by the town, is it being ceded in ownership only, or is it being ceded in fact in geographic area, so that the county now has full authority over that property and the town no longer has any authority over it?
Okay.
Or have you even thought about it?
Well, we have thought about it, but you asked the question in a different way. It's not going to be little sections. We're not going to de-incorporate. So it's still inside the town corporate limits. But it will be county-owned property, so we'll not be receiving taxes off that or anything of that nature. So it will be under control of the county, but it's not going to be de-annexed. It's still inside the city limits. So I think that's...
So the city, the town, still technically has authority over, for purposes of its...
Yes.
Statutes, ordinances, such.
Okay, let's say the county would like to put in a new water tower in town. They would still be subject to our zoning regulations to do that. Thank you. That's a good question.
Sir.
Bob Pierce, 102 Southwest 22nd Street. With the county taking over the system, who's going to be responsible for the ongoing issue with the odor at the various vacuum stations around the town?
That would be the county.
And when will that happen?
We will be working for the next few months to evaluate whether or not the county and the council decide to move forward. But if the county acquires the system, we would be who you would call.
And some of those areas are trying to be addressed now with contracts, so they may not have the total burden at the time they actually assume control.
Wendell Withrow, 137 Northeast 19th Street. In the case of a natural disaster, what plans are in place to take care of the system if it's damaged, if the county has it?
The county currently owns systems on other barrier islands, and the county does have a plan in place to take care of the system in the event of a storm, as well as it would be insured, and we would process any claims with the federal government for FEMA. But as far as you're talking about precautionary items or hurricane
damages the system.
The county would be responsible, and we are insured, and we would work to restore system operations as quickly as possible and take all precautionary means. And we are very experienced. We have the system on Sunset Beach. We work with Holden Beach. We provide their treatment. So we are experienced in working with a barrier island.
Rhett Blackton, 106 Southwest 21st Street. If I have an issue with my water service or sewer service now, I know these folks and I can get response from them. I don't know anybody at the county. How responsive or responsible will you be if I have an issue and if I go out there and say, I'm having an issue with my water or something, why would the county care when my boat's much less as a part of the county as it would be as part of the town?
Well, I can tell you that when the Board of Commissioners, individual commissioners, hear a concern of a citizen, they call me immediately. They don't necessarily care what their address is. They want us to take care of that citizen's concerns, as well as the folks that I work with are very professional, and they care, and they want to do a good job for all the citizens.
One customer out of 38,000 as opposed to one customer out of
You know, the only thing I would say is check our track record. The first thing that I said to your mayor and the first thing that I said to your manager is call those systems that we've acquired. Call Caswell Beach, call Sunset Beach, call Bowling Springs Lake, and ask them what kind of job we've done.
I'll just add a little bit to that. I think we're fortunate in this case that it is another political entity that's could be taking over the system. This is not a water and sewer authority. Water and sewer authorities operate totally differently, and in that case, I might share some of your concerns, but it's not to say, it's basically another elected body, and just as, I was smiling because I'm used to getting calls from council members too if citizens need things, so we act on it as quickly as possible. So. Well, and we have some. No, and I understand and appreciate your questions. You know, there's been times that we've gotten complaints that people were not treated like they thought they needed to be treated here in Oak Island. So we've had some customer service issues, but on both the county side and the town side, they're committed. You know, we do have excellent employees, and I appreciate you bringing that up because that is a concern. And I hate to say a percentage, but most of these employees are going to become county employees. So I wouldn't think there'd be a decrease in service based on that because of accountability. So anyway, it's a good concern. I don't know if we can answer it any better than that.
No, I would just say that if you have had less than positive experience with the county, don't hesitate to let me know, and I can be happy to look into it and try to rectify that situation. I want to know.
Madam Mayor, if we can take maybe one or two more questions, and then maybe this might be a good time for a break.
Yeah, well, our schedule says we're taking a break at 7:10, and that'll be a couple more questions probably before we end. So feel free to ask the questions. Now is the time.
How you doing? My name is Rack Lasseter, 162 Northwest 4th Street. My question is about maintenance. You said it wasn't going to cost us any more money in the long run. This is a gazillion-dollar effort we put in here to get a system going. Do you guys have qualified people to work on it? And 15 years from now, whatever the life expectancy of the plant is, how are you going to adjust our bills then? Or how long is this plant designed to run and systems designed to run and not cost us anything?
Well, I didn't say it wasn't going to cost you anything.
Other than what we're paying now?
We do have qualified people, I assure you, to run the system. We have repeatedly won state awards for large utility system of the year as well as small utility system of the year. So we are staffed well, we're staffed appropriately, and we very well maintain our systems. So there's not going to be a problem with maintenance of your system. As far as over time, we will have to do replacements, but we believe that we're setting a rate at this point in time that would be sustainable to take you through the long term. As the county experienced growth, the new customers would come in and aid us in being able to expand the plant. We're not going to expand the plant until it's necessary to expand it, and that means that there's customers and growth that would allow us to be able to pay those bills.
Thank you.
Sarah Whitmer, 105 Southeast 57th Street. In light of today's climate, what will the county do to ensure that the water towers are secured? Because it's been numerous times, we live behind the water tower, and there's been times we found it unlocked where anybody had access to go in and contaminating the water.
We will take the precautionary measures to make sure that the towers are secure as we do everywhere else in the county where we currently have towers.
Any more questions? We are going to have a short question period when we come back from the break, and then we'll allow the council to have a 15-minute question, and then we'll start wrapping up the meeting. But if you have any question, nothing is too minor. Feel free to ask anything.
Madam Mayor, and during the break, if there's a burning question you didn't get answered, or you'd rather not ask it openly or something, Lisa, town clerk, will put a sign-up sheet over here or something. You can write your question down, and we'll answer that way. So if for some reason you didn't get a question answered, and we'll come back, as the mayor said, after the break. We are trying to end at 8 o'clock precisely, just to respect everybody involved here as far as the time involved. So she'll have that sheet, and Madam Mayor, I guess we'll be back in about 10 minutes.
Yes, we'll reconvene at 7:20. At this time, I'll call the meeting back to order and we'll resume the question period. Following this question period, the board's going to have 15 minutes of time to ask their questions because we're learning just like you. And after that, we'll go to have a short comment from our county officials, and we will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before we get started with questions again, too, we do have a list of questions where people have signed up that have not been asked yet, so we'll do our best to try to answer those questions. I'll actually try to look through them now, but before I do that, I guess if we have other questions from the audience, have Debbie take those.
And these will be answered after the meeting and put in with the frequently asked questions on the website.
Hi, I'm Lynn McDowell, 6407 Tortoiseshell Court. I'd like to understand a little better about the background. I think you said that there were discussions 2 or 3 years ago about doing this, and I think you said the county didn't want to proceed, so I'd like to understand what's different now that it's looking promising.
When Tim first contacted me back in the fall, I was not very hopeful because about 2 years ago we had worked with the county manager at the time, and we had explored the options both legally and financially. And at that point in time, the county could not refinance is the other word for it, the town's debt. So that is the biggest change that's occurred in the last 2 years. Right now, the bond market would allow the county to go out and issue new debt so that the debt is in the county's name rather than the town's name. And before, if the debt had stayed in the town's name, but the county operated the system, that would have created a lot of transitional issues. But if the county can truly and legally go out and issue replacement debt for all the debt that the town has on the system, then that gives the county the opportunity to acquire the system. There were no individuals that came to any kind of impasse 2 years ago. It was strictly that acquiring that debt was not feasible 2 years ago, and it appears to be now. We can't guarantee that it will be something that we can actually do in 6 months, but we have some of the best minds in the state that have been working for us to analyze it and look to see if we can do that. And we've got to not only be able to do it, but we've got to be able to do it cheaper than your current debt service, or it doesn't make sense for anybody. So that's the difference.
All right, Debbie, while we're waiting on some more questions, I've kind of scanned through these real quickly while I've been standing here. One question is, and I don't know if I'm adequately prepared to answer tonight, but I'll give it a shot. With the decrease in employees throughout the years and now, and the 3 to 5 employees losing jobs, does the town still need such a large facility? And they're asking town hall. That is a issue that we hadn't broached. It hadn't come up in our conversations, but just to let you know, part of the town complex is the police department, so that need is still there. Town council chambers, there will be a little bit of room freed up downstairs, but development services is downstairs. There's problematic with who would buy a town hall, so I don't know, but I'm not saying it's not an option to consider, but that was the question that was asked, so that's how I replied tonight. So sewer road cuts, who's responsible to pave the already existing cuts? The town periodically resurfaces streets. We have done some don't use the word experiment. We've been some trials where we've put different materials down in these cuts that have sunk down over time because they weren't tapped out properly or whatever. So we'll still be working on that. But any new cuts will be responsibility of the county, work with us somehow to take care of those. But not the old cuts are not the county's responsibility. Will there ever come a time when the sewer district fee will no longer be necessary? I would surely hope so, but it would be depending on growth and some other factors. So I do believe that if the county absorbs the utility system, it will be sooner coming under the larger economies of scale than it would be with the town. And this is a question about town employees. There is nothing inconsistent or detrimental. Our town employees do a great job, so this decision should not be viewed as any slight to our town employees. So that's not what it's about. This is a financial decision and what is good for the town of Oak Island ratepayers. So it's not a reflection on employees not doing their jobs. They're doing a great job, but no matter how great a job they can do, they can't pay that debt down either.
And the county's going to need them. So we're hopeful that they're going to become county employees. So we're certainly, we're proud of what they've accomplished here, and we know that they're going to be able to help us to accomplish even more.
Thank you.
Tim, just to belay some of the confusion that's out there, would you go through that process of how that's going to work with our employees?
Okay, right now what we're looking at, the transition would occur around October, November. They will be town employees until that time, be paid by the town. At that time, they would become county employees. And basically what they have to do is pass their drug tests, screenings, et cetera, and they're guaranteed jobs. And without getting too much into personnel, there'll be some county employees that benefit from salary comparisons and leveling out, as well as town employees. There will be some, that probably will not get the best transition deal they expected, but the town is committed to try to make it as painless as possible for these employees who have served the town.
And we have the 3 or 4 employees, I think you said 3 or 5, that are customer service type employees that are not part of the utility system. And our HR staff is already working, if we move forward, to try to develop some way that we could assist them in hopefully locating employment within the county in another position. It likely wouldn't be the utility department, but the county has a large workforce of over 1,000 employees, and we're hopeful that there could be some opportunities that those folks may find appealing and that they would consider coming with the county as well.
And also I mentioned, possible severance for those who, if the county can't place them, to help in the meantime. But the county does have a lot of opportunities out there, so we feel they have a good chance of placing those employees. One more question on this sheet is the last one. Has the county actually agreed to lease back Bill Smith Park to the town for $1 a year? No, they have not signed a contract, but we don't foresee that as a problem or objection, but no contract's been signed at this point at all. Debbie, I think there's a question.
Just over where Bill Smith Park is.
Long Beach Road, Fish Factory Road.
I had a recurring question, if you don't mind, and it was about whether or not the county had irrigation rates, and we do have irrigation rates. They're on our website. The base fee is $12 a month, and then we have an incremental usage fee. So we do have irrigation, and that benefits those that on their sewer bill as well. So.
I think there's another question in the back.
Yes, I'm in favor of this whole thing.
Can we get your name and address, please?
Oh, Peter Key, Northeast 38th Street. I'm in favor of this whole thing, apart from my cynicism for the current county commissioners. I think that this is a great deal for the town. I'm excited about the amount of debt relief that the town's going to get, and I am hopeful that we will see some improvements in services here in the town, and I'd like for you to speak to that specifically. As in our nature center back on 52nd Street, Northeast 52nd at Yacht, some of the walkways with the wooden mats. Handicap access has been an issue in the past, making sure that those stay taken care of and available for our guests. Can we speak to those kind of improvements that might see in services?
I think so, but as far as funding, there's no, and don't take this the wrong way, this is not going to create extra pot of money for the town. So there's no extra funds to do those, so we'll still have to do that through the operating general funds, fees, grants, et cetera. The town is committed to try to enhance those features. Rebecca Squires, where's she at? She's constantly looking for grants to improve facilities. Currently, they're looking at a splash pad grant for an area in town. So hopefully that answers your questions. And the Recreation Committee is always working on new ideas. We are somewhat limited in cost, and this has come up during, or limited in resources. The town is currently, as of January, refinanced all our general fund debt, and that should be paid off within 5 years. with that consideration, the council will have flexibility at that time to consider larger projects that you didn't mention but may come up. So, but I know the first priority is to pay off that debt, and then this board and this body will have to decide about beach nourishment too. That's another issue that will affect the town as well. So that's probably more than you asked for, but that's the answer.
Tim, let me ask one other question.
All right. Wait, if you wait for Debbie. This is being recorded, so it can be viewed later.
Ted Manis, 3022 West Beach. You discussed the fact that there would probably be some extensive negotiations between the town and the county. With regard to that, is there any conceivable possibility at this point in time that there might be the need for a stipend paid by the city to the county in order to accomplish this?
I would say no. They've accounted for it in their rate structure, so there should be no additional funds that have to come from the town.
Okay, that's good to hear. Thank you.
That would be a deal breaker.
Are we doing second?
Yes.
Richard Bunce, 125 Northeast 26th Street. I was going to answer the first question that was answered this evening, but I'll go ahead and I got another one here. First of all, I'm 1,000% behind this proposal and have been for 12 years. We haven't really talked much about the engineering evaluation, which I think is just as important as the financial one that's going to happen here in the next few months. And I would encourage this evaluation to look at all island flow being capable to be sent to the county plant, which was the original design for the system.
I have the best engineering team in the utility department that I believe there is anywhere, and they are going to be looking at every opportunity that they can to be able to see where we might be able to improve so that we can lower rates over time. So that they will certainly be looking at that as we move forward.
John Whitmer, 105 Southeast 57th Street. On condominium units, how does the county bill those per taps? Do they bill each unit per tap, or do they let all 300 units go into one tap for water and sewer?
It's a variety. Sometimes there's a master meter.
Malcolm Morrison again. Question about extending sewer and water, for example, down to the point where we have a recreational area down there. We have Porta Johns down there. Has been mentioned in the past that perhaps that could be, the park area down there could be enhanced. Could we get in facilities like that through the county? The county has been putting in other parks throughout the county, and we have an area there that could be considered a park, just as all of the beach could be considered a park. And we need more funding for. Thank you.
That's the question that has not come up as of now. There are no plans to further develop the West End as far as bathroom facilities, et cetera. The county has a capital improvements plan. They'd have to weigh that in priorities just as our town council would. And we just had a retreat, and that was not mentioned there. So I think it might be a good idea, but I don't see that coming anytime soon. Unfortunately, the porta potties are the most cost-effective means of servicing accesses, and that's been used along the coast, along the entire coast of North Carolina. So I think it's a good point, but that would be something for the Recreation Commission to look at, and also Public Works to actually recommend. So, but there are no plans, and I don't think that would be on the top of the list with county priorities either at this time.
We got time for about 3 more questions. Oh, good.
Hi, yeah, I'm Troy Davis, 314 Northeast 39th Street. I believe once the county takes it over, then they assume our bonds, which makes the town eligible for bonds if we choose to have beach renourishment. And once we choose those bonds for beach renourishment, that is paid back through the taxes. So I guess we would see an increase in taxes if that came.
Okay, well, there's some commentary there. as a manager, I'll let you know my philosophy with beach nourishment. I try to avoid financing any beach nourishment projects. Beach nourishment is a cyclical factor. So aside from what happens with the utility system, and we'll be talking in the coming months about that, yes, they might be a tax as a part of doing beach nourishment, that type of thing. But I would strongly discourage financing of such a project. That means that if it is a tax or any kind, we may have to save for 5 to 7 years before we actually do a large project. So that is correct. But now financing, the town would have that option, but I as a manager would not be prepared to make that recommendation.
Any more questions before I turn it over to the council? Couple more.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, could he go ahead and read the rest of the questions that were posed that
Were there
people
more,
probably
Tim?
didn't want to stand up and ask?
There is one more question on the list, but no, I will not read it. It is, could be viewed as a personal attack, and no, I will not read that question, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Then I get to ask my second question. Ray Kane, 21 Augusta Drive. Now I can't remember what my question is. Oh, I wanted to see if this is correct, kind of in a nutshell. So basically, the town is going to give up their debt. The county is going to take on the debt, take on the county's the town's properties where all of these utilities are located, and then we pay an additional $64 a month on top of our current water bill. Is that kind of a nutshell of what we're talking about?
No, ma'am. That $64 a month is to replace your current sewer district fee. It is not in addition to.
Okay.
So you pay the county's water rates, the county's sewer rates, and then we estimate that it would be an additional $64 a month that we would need to be able to make the debt service on the system.
Okay.
Just to follow up on that too, I'm just going to pick something out. With the county's rate and the sewer district fee, as Ann has already mentioned, for a 5,000-gallon customer, you would actually be paying a $143.25, which is $10.41 less than you pay now. Debbie up here.
One more, Deb.
Hi, Sheila Solberg on 326 Street Northeast. I was just wondering, I'm new to town, so the whole sewer, water, all that, I'm just trying to get all of that. So if I put that behind me, like it seems like that, like the charges and all that are just kind of a thing of the past. We no longer work on it except that we have to pay for it. So when I'm looking at these papers, is it people who are using more water, thousands more gallons, they will get a break on their bill, but people who don't use very many, the small houses, the people that they don't get a break, but if you use more water, you're going to pay less? Am I correct on?
That's just what a decrease in rate structure is. It's not meant to work out that way, but that's what happens.
Just doesn't seem to make sense to me. The more you consume, the less you pay. To me, that
It's not the less you pay. You're still paying more. It's just the difference between how the town had set up their rate structure to be able to pay the bills compared to how the county has set up its rate structure to pay its bills. So you're talking a whole different rate structure and philosophy on establishing rates.
all right, I guess that answers my question.
I'd like to thank you all again for engaging and coming out tonight and asking some really great questions. Many of them we had not had on the list, so thank you again. If in future you think of a question when you get home, please just email it to us. Our addresses are on Town Hall, email addresses. We welcome the questions. They will be answered and posted on the website under the frequent asked question sheet. At this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over and let the council members ask questions. We'll start with Sheila. If you have a question.
I have several.
All right. Well, we'll
first
let
of
you
all, I just kind of want to reiterate what was said by Ann and Tim about our town employees. We're very proud of them. They're very qualified, and that's probably the reason the county wants you. One of the questions I have is for Ann. In the memorandum of understanding, in several different places it said the enterprise system assets, but there were several paragraphs down there that said assets of the town. I want to make sure that it is the enterprise system assets only.
Thank you for helping me with that, absolutely. Enterprise system assets, water and sewer assets only, not the assets of the town.
Okay. The sewer district fee.
Yes,
Or the
ma'am.
sewer fee. It says for the town of Oak Island, does that include the ones who are not serviced by our system, such as South Harbor and Oakwood Glen and across the bridge?
If they're not serviced by your system, it would not. No, ma'am, it's only the current folks
Okay.
that you're serving.
Okay.
And just to follow up on that, we had that conversation, they were not they were not figured into the original customer base, so no, they wouldn't be part of that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
It's a good point.
In the negotiations, is it at all possible that we can keep Bill Smith Park and you pay us $1 a year?
We certainly talk about what we need to do. The main thing that we've got to do is make sure that our permit with the state is intact and that we have control over that to be able to fulfill our obligations with the state, because that's a disposal site, as you know. So we've got to make sure that that's maintained and available for disposal. But we, certainly, this is very preliminary to start these discussions, and we're happy to talk about any concern that the town may have.
My only other question is, you've talked about refinancing bonds. In some of the discussions, we've talked about capacity to Southport. Why can't the town do that instead of the county?
I think that the town does have those opportunities for refinancing. However, the interest rate that the county can achieve is lower than the town. As well as the county, you have to have, as you're well aware, you have to make a little bit more money than your actual debt payment to fulfill your terms with the bondholders. And the county has more assets to be able to cushion that coverage with the bondholders, give them a little more comfort, a little better rating. So I think we can save a little money over you going out and refinancing. So I think that's one consideration. And I forgot the rest of the question. Sorry. Did I answer it all?
Capacity to Southport.
You could certainly do that as well. And at this point in time, we're not exactly sure what Southport's decision may be. So the county has had to structure our initial proposal to you, assuming that we would take on that burden.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I don't have any questions right now. I've learned a lot tonight, and I think some of the questions that have been asked by the audience were just outstanding. I've learned a lot from them, but I don't have any questions right now.
Thank you. Councilman Millen?
Just a couple, and some of these are questions that I was asked at break, and I suggested that they ask the questions and they didn't, so I'm going to ask them for them because I think they need to be answered. One is during a storm, a hurricane. When would the decision be made to shut the system down?
That would be a recommendation by our utility director, Mr. Pierce, in consultation with his staff. And I don't think they ever actually shut the system down. They take precautionary methods. But we would certainly be in communication with the town officials, as we do with Sunset Beach and others that we work with on storms. But Mr. Pierce, your town manager, the chairman, myself would all be in close communication to make those decisions. We would not move forward without having discussions with the town.
Okay, thank you.
And Jim, too, Sir Council Member. Usually that is only considered if you have a mandatory evacuation. That would be probably one of the triggers to actually shut down a system. So that may affect it, but barring a mandatory evacuation, I don't think there'll be any system shutdowns.
Okay. Next question. Will you continue to operate the SWRF?
I think that's too early to tell. We would have to evaluate that.
Okay. Okay.
As those answers become available, I'm assuming, and they will be also posted on the frequently asked questions sheet?
Absolutely. Those are just part of our discussion and ongoing.
Now, part of that, I think, would come in the engineering evaluation, and so we can ask the engineer to comment on that during their third-party evaluation.
Well, that was a question that was asked me at break, and I didn't know the answer for, and I told them I knew you would know the answer, so. Would we continue to operate the SWRF, the water reclamation facility on Yacht Drive? And there's not a definitive answer yet. The only other question I have is relating to Bill Smith Park. I'll just say this. One of my main concerns has been, up until now, our employees, what was going to be done. And I know there's some of our employees are nervous about what's going to happen, but I feel pretty comfortable that the county's going to take care of those employees, and I hope they feel as much at ease tonight as I do after the discussion we've had. Bill Smith Park, and that's something a lot of people are concerned about. Has Clean Water Management been contacted to see if we could do a backwards lease where we would lease the land back to you, or if we do have to lease it from you, would it be an evergreen lease?
We have not made those contacts.
Okay. Have you discussed a type lease? Would it be an evergreen lease? If we did, you have not?
No, sir, we have not.
Thank you.
And Councilman, I think that would probably actually take place after the second step, after the resolution for legislation. We'd have to be a little bit further into the process to firm that up.
Yes, the county has submitted the proposed memo of understanding, and until we receive a response from council, we have not hired the folks to start investigating the engineering nor the fiscal feasibility. Once we have your direction that you would like us to proceed, then we would move swiftly to try and answer these questions and to negotiate the terms that are of concern to the town.
Thank you.
Councilman Weinkoff, do you have any questions? Oh, I was going to come back this way and end with me. Sorry, Charlie. Councilman Baylock, do you have any questions?
I have a nickel for every time I've heard that. I have just two questions. Question number one is, and I think you've already mentioned this, and I understand that there's an issue there, the possibility of having a satellite office here for our citizens rather than having to go to Bolivia if they have a problem or an issue with their sewer system.
At this point, it's very early, but my thoughts are, just being very frank with you, is that we do not have this issue with our other towns that we work with as far as being able to service them from Bolivia. I would foresee it for a period of time while we are making the transition, but I do not think that I could see that in the long run, to have one county employee here separated from the rest of the county system, just being very frank about it.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman, if you'll let me add to that too, at the break, someone mentioned having a drop box here, but not actually having a person. So, I mean, we could look at that too.
We can look at it, but you do have the cash issues and the protection, the cash and that sort of thing. I will tell you that a great majority of your people now pay by draft, electronic checks, and other means, and we will have that all available to them.
And my next question, I admit having a personal interest in, is the par 3 golf course, or is it not part of the enterprise system?
I'll answer that one. I just actually found out today that is not part of the enterprise system. Now, we'll have to make an arrangement for the county to use that. That is part of an MPDS permit, but that was not purchased with utility funds. So we'll still have to make an arrangement, but that one for sure would wind up being the county leasing it from us or something like that for the par 3. That's a good point.
Thank you.
Councilman Michael?
Well, I got maybe one question, but I'd like to make a comment too. I'd like to thank our staff for the time they put in to work with the county This hasn't been an easy process for our staff. It hasn't been an easy process for the county or this council because of the whole big project. The number one goal I always looked at it when we went into this was what was best for our residents in the future, and how was we going to be able to keep the payments low where everybody could afford to live here. And the commissioners could have said, no, we're not even going to consider this, but they volunteered and got together and said, yes, we will consider it. And I thought it was a good gesture on their part, and I thank them for that, and I thank our staff for the hard work they put in here. But there is, the drop box is one of the things I was wanting to see, because I'm one of them that drops stuff in the drop box. It's convenient to me, and it's convenient to a lot of people to be able to just, instead of mailing or electronic, because we do have a lot of people on this island who, when they get their Social Security checks, they live check by check, and they can't have stuff drafted out. And if it's something that can be convenient to our residents here, it makes sense to, if it's a little thing like a drop box and we've got somebody has to run the payments to the county, that's something that we do when we look after the people in the town. The other thing is, with any transaction, sometimes when it doesn't go smooth, and there's always a lot of questions. And this will be on our part as a council and the staff, as we keep somebody here on staff to be able to answer these questions when they come in, and work with the county until everything's a smooth transition. And that's something that's, like I said, there's a lot of stuff we've got to consider before all this. It's going to be ironed out, but these are things that is going to be the front to make this a smooth transition, instead of just something being thrown at them and nobody knows nothing about it. Because you can advertise, you can put it in the paper, you can put it on TV, and you're still going to have people that don't know what's going on. So I think that's some steps we'll have to look at, and if it's the town putting this person in place, I think that's what we need to do. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have a grant for that SWRF too. We'll have to look at for that grant, because if the SWRF is shut down, I think it's $1 million grant that has to be paid back. So I think that's some steps we'll have to look at through this whole process. And that's all I've got to say.
I do have one question I just need to wrap my brain around. And I think I understood Ann to say that the figure for the $64 fee was a conservative. And when you say that to me, I think of the worst case scenario. Is that as much as it will be? Could it possibly go lower?
Certainly. It could go higher, it could go lower. That's our best estimate.
That's just an estimate.
That's our estimate. We have, to the best of our ability, we have gone through a financial feasibility and a legal study, and got to the point that we felt like that we could offer you to start talking about it. And so that's what the MOU is to offer to you to go through a due diligence process and see if we can make this transaction work. If you agree that you want to enter into the MOU to discuss this further, then we would hire an independent feasibility consultant. We would hire bond counsel, and we would hire an engineering firm to evaluate the system. And after those reports are in, and I'm sure they would do the best job they can, we believe that that fee is pretty close to what it would take for us to operate the system. But we're really not going to know until we have the system and we're operating it exactly what the circumstances are. So I believe it's a conservative number. I think we've done our best. We've got a lot of experience with operating our own system, with acquisitions. We've acquired several systems. We've taken employees before, and I think that they're happy working at the county now. So we believe that we have presented a viable option, but until we actually are able to finance the debt, the $64 a month is based upon the debt. That depends on the market between now and when we're actually able to refund and refinance it. But the thing to keep in mind is, until the county issues debt, you can change, this council can change its mind, so, as well as the commissioners. So if we're not able to go to the bond market and achieve rates that we think that will make it work, we can stop at that point.
So we still have a lot of hoops to jump through, and a lot of things have to come together before we can even make a logical decision on this whole system.
Once we vote on the 15th, at what point will we start to owe you money? Because I know the county is not going to just go out and start hiring an engineer and someone to look at the system, it's going to cost you money. There was a $300,000 figure in there. At what point are we going to start owing you money if this council changes its mind?
I think that that's a question for us to discuss. My recommendation would be that if we get a report that shows that we're not able to refinance the debt, then at that point, whatever we've expended at that point is a burden of the county. If the bond council says that for some reason we're not able to get the legislation, because the legislation is key to making this work. Refinancing the debt and the legislation are both two hurdles. And so my recommendation to the commissioners would be, at that point when we know that, we say we did our best, it's not going to work, and we walk away. If we're able to get the legislation, if we're able to finance, and we're legally able to keep moving forward, and we've been negotiating in good faith, it seems to me that if things break down just because we've changed our mind, that at that point the town should compensate the county. And that would be my recommendation.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the council? No? I'd like to thank you, Ann, for answering the tough questions honestly and openly. And you too, Tim, thank you for your presentation. At this time, I'd like to invite you for any closing remarks, any of the county officials.
I would like to thank everybody that's come out tonight. Y'all have really had some good questions. A lot of them we were prepared for. I think there was some we hadn't considered. I also want to thank the council and the staff at Oak Island for all the hard work. And I'd especially like to thank our county. We have our county attorney here and our financial person back there, and our water and sewer directors are back there. So we appreciate them coming out to support us. It's not going to be easy. This is a long process. There's a lot of loops that we're going to have to go through, a lot of decisions to be made. One of the things that I had concern about that somebody brought up tonight was the odor. I think when this was mentioned, I said the first thing we're going to take care of is that odor. The other thing was mentioned tonight was about hurricanes. If you have not got on to the computer or whatever for your cell phones, everybody has cell phones just about, you can go to the county and get on red alert. That red alert will alarm you anytime the county does anything at the county. If we do anything, it goes out to every customer. I get one on my home phone and I get one on my cell phone. Let's see. The county knows that this will be a long-term benefit to all of us. It's not a short-term. So I think it's, in my personal opinion, as one of your commissioners, I feel like it's a good move for the citizens of Oak Island. But that's up to your councilman, and that's up to y'all. We're here to help. You're part of the county. We're here to support you just like we would anybody else that lives in the county. We appreciate your time tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to our chairman, Scott Phillips.
Thank you, Commissioner Sykes, Madam Mayor, and council staff. I want to extend a hand of gratitude from the county for offering us here to hear the concerns of the people and some of your concerns and questions. And I think we all realize now that we've got more questions than we do answers on a lot of these issues. This is a major ordeal, major undertaking for the county, for the enterprise system. But I want to start by echoing some of Councilman Weinkauf's comments. There's been a great deal of work put into this already, behind the scenes. We have in this county the best team to make this happen, from our manager to our finance officer and our director and our attorney. If this is ever going to happen, now's the time. we will not be blessed like we are now to make this happen. We have a council and a staff that is willing and able through the town to work with the county to make this happen. And as Ann stated earlier, 2 years ago, it wasn't feasible. The county's position is, there's comments earlier tonight, throughout the night, Oak Island County, Oak Island County. That's not the way it looks from up here. Every citizen in this room is a member of this county, and we, the county, work for you. We are here to serve you. A couple of the points that were brought up about the sewer district fee, worst case scenario, Madam Mayor. At some point in time, our staff has done the best they can to estimate what that fee is going to be, and you saw those numbers tonight. As our manager stated earlier, 2 years ago, those numbers didn't work out. As the market changes, there will be a time that it's not feasible or economically beneficial to our customers, potentially you. That's what these folks up here are looking at, and that's what we're looking at. If it's not going to benefit you, we're not going to do it. It's not worth the effort if you're not going to benefit from this merger. We want to make sure that this is as seamless to you as customers to the county as it possibly can be. The number one priority in the last 7 years, going on 8, for me as a county commissioner to our staff is customer service. There are 2 gentlemen back there that run our utilities department. They make sure that you don't have issues. Those issues are going to come, but they have people and resources in place to correct those issues. So I can stand up here. I don't have water or sewer. Where I live, in the sticks, we don't have that. But I can assure you, I have talked to many people throughout this county that have had issues, and those issues have all been resolved in a timely manner, in a professional manner. Their job is to keep us out of the media and out of the public's eye. They do that by responding to the needs of the system and their customers. So I want y'all to understand that this is not a done deal by no stretch of the imagination. When we presented this proposal at our meeting to approve to come to your council, I made that same statement. This is not a done deal. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, a lot of rivers to cross, a lot of mountains to climb. This is a tremendous burden on staffs on both sides of the fence, and the only way it's going to happen is if we do it together. And that's why we're here tonight, to try to hear what your concerns are. I think they have done a remarkable job, Manager, for putting out on the website your frequently asked questions. Most of the time, people have concerns or issues with these kind of moves because they don't know and they don't understand. Your town has done an excellent job providing those answers to you. And there will be many opportunities in the future to come before your council and ask those same questions, and then to come to your county and ask us those same questions if you still have concerns. We're here for you. We're not here against you. We want to make this as seamless as possible, and we want to do it to better Brunswick County, not the county and not Oak Island. We're doing this for the betterment of this county as a whole and moving forward into our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Phillips and Commissioner Seitz, and Ann, thank you again. and thank the public for coming out and participating in this special meeting. We look forward to seeing you on Monday, the 15th. Come back. We welcome you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? So be it.